Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. This is How to Invest, Spencer here, and we are back on Yahoo Finance. We were here on the inflation video that I made a couple days ago, which not too many people checked out, but I had some great information there on what is going on in the market and what will happen in the future. So if you didn't check it out, highly recommend it. This one is going to be on Tesla. This one got almost 2,000 views, so let's hop right into it. I'll be reacting and pausing it, kind of jabbing what my thoughts are. We'll skip through some of this. This is about Fisker. I have not watched this. This is a live reaction. All right, so I just wanted to butt in here for a minute. So if you are unaware, Michael Burry, the big short from the movie, who made the lump sum of money by shorting the he shorted the credit bonds or the housing market, so the credit swaps in The Big Short. If you want to watch that movie, it was a great one if you haven't. But he placed what they said a couple $100 million dollars of not a short position, but he put in put calls or put options. And put options are basically a bet that a stock will fall to a certain price by a certain date. So we are unaware of the prices or the strike price that he put, the premium, and we're unaware of the date that they expire. So I am not as concerned over calls or puts as I am a short or long investor. The reason being, when Tesla did get to 900, yes, it was overvalued by most metrics, and even investors and the biggest investors in Tesla would have agreed with you. Ron Barron, probably the biggest Tesla bull in the world. His firm owned billions of dollars of Tesla. He sold starting at 400. $400 when it was going up, because on a split adjusted basis, that's 1,200. He had an average price of $30. Yeah, it's probably a good idea to take some profits. So the business Tesla and the stock Tesla are two very, very, very different things. The Tesla business has been better than ever, and in my opinion, the competitors still aren't here and are at least 2 years away. We've been hearing, oh, there's going to be great competition for Tesla. Where are they? They've been saying it for years. They're still not here, and it's 2021. There's been a chip shortage, so they're still not going to get here. That there are other smaller, maybe individual cars out of companies that are doing very well for EVs, but nothing compares to the Model 3 sales currently. It's the most popular car in California already. Now, part of that is the government incentives to buy an EV, and that being the best and most popular and the cheapest available, but it's still the most popular car in California already. And to think when other states have the infrastructure incentives set in place, such as California, they're going to have mass market share that could increase over time. A lot of people say it might decrease. It just be careful trying to count Tesla out. Is all I wanted to say. And he could have put a strike price at $800 when it was at $900. So he's already could have made profits and just be riding the wave at this point. Now, obviously, he probably did do it much lower, and probably, if I were to be thinking about it, if he placed them at the time where it peaked at around 900 after the split adjusted basis, so times 5 would be over 4,500. He would probably place it around 750, maybe, if he's feeling a little risky, because obviously that is quite a ways to fall from almost $1,000 to 750. That's a 25% decrease. But if he was feeling very, very bearish, then he could put it somewhere around the 500 range. But since we do not know the strike price or the expiration date, we can't really speculate too much about this. Oh, even that it's being over $500 million. before he said very selective where they put their money, I was just going to say that small caps have been just absolutely battered. So I would disagree with that. Very, very, very few small caps have been doing well. You really have to do your research and know what you're buying, and even if they are a good company, a lot of them haven't been appreciated just because of the volatility in the market. So I think small caps have been hit way harder than the big caps, even though big caps have been hit hard.
Get back to the larger discussion around some of these upstarts, EVs, because it does feel like we've seen a lot of money pour into the EV space as a whole on the expectation of what the Biden administration's policy is likely to do in terms of the growth for the space, trying to find that next big competitor against Tesla. And yet you look at a company like a Lordstown, like a Fisker, I mean, it feels like it's sort of going in the same...
Where's CCIV? Why don't they put Lucid? That's probably the biggest competitor. NIO's never going to come to America. I just don't get it.
Nikola, which is there's no real product in the market, and their technology largely has been exposed to be flawed. How do you think investors should be looking at that, and how strong is the growth case for these companies?
So my comment to people is always do your own diligence, right? I've been relatively lucky to, have clients appreciate me for my diligence over the last several years. Each one of the companies you mentioned has strengths and weaknesses. It's how they play out in the public market that really impacts valuation. I think a number of companies have been treated unfairly for increases to their R&D budget and spending, where traditionally growth stocks, they don't get punished for that. That's sentiment driven. That's the market that we're in. But you're right. The Biden administration, what our president is eventually able to do as far as promoting his clean environmental agenda is going to have a very big impact on all these companies. And you can see every last one of them, Tesla included, come roaring back to life. If we do see a tax package that's supportive of 500,000 charging endpoints, generous EV subsidies, etc., which I think is really, on the negotiating table in DC. We're just waiting for good news, and it was expected, and then it went sideways. Negotiations deteriorated. When they come back, the whole space could be back with a bang.
All right, so I did like his closing point there. If we do see any type of bill that stimulus for EV included in the infrastructure bill where we get charging stations, I do think that the EV market can be substantially growing to the upside. And that was one of my bearish cases on a lot of the competitors to Tesla, because they just don't have the infrastructure put in place. I was going to buy a Tesla. I bought a new car at the beginning of the year, but unfortunately I live in a townhome and can't charge at home. The quickest place to charge is 45 minutes away. It's not feasible for me. So even still, if you want to own an EV, some of the infrastructure is just not there yet. And that is a very, very big problem for the whole industry as a whole. So one way they're looking to fix this is through the stimulus bill, with the infrastructure. I forget, he said Biden wanted 10,000 different EV charging stations, have at least one at most gas stations already, which would be definitely a step in the right direction. As we look here at Tesla, they said at $550 billion market capitalization, which is almost equivalent to the stock price. And if he said a price target of 150 billion, that would be, or $150 or 150 billion in the market capitalization would be a more accurate representation of where the company's fundamentals are at currently. I wouldn't disagree with him personally, but that will never happen in my opinion, just because of the amount of hype around this stock. Not only retail investors, institutional investors, and insiders in the company. If this falls to 300 people in a day, people are going to shoot it back up to 400. Like, this is probably the most popular stock in the market. And there's thousands upon thousands. If this falls, 50% to 250 or 300, people are going to eat that up. They're not going to let it fall to 150. Now, if there is a once in a thousand year, coronavirus again, maybe, but unless the fundamentals of this company change substantially or we see a broad crash in the market, this will not hit 150. And that, you have my word for that. Would it be undervalued at that position? Honestly, it might even still be overvalued. But there is just so much hype around this stock that it will never go there. And people will complain about that and say that it's overvalued, but a stock is only worth what people are willing to pay. And if people are willing to pay $556 billion for it, then they're going to be paying $556 billion, not $150 billion. So that was my Tesla stock update. The other thing I will end it on is the India market. The India market is something that I touched on in the first stock update that I made about Tesla. I think it was my first video ever. And I said that my most bullish point on Tesla could be their India expansion, because India will be bigger than China, and China is currently their most lucrative market. They are hurting currently, but every company who operates in China that is not a Chinese company is hurting currently due to tensions within the United States and China, and some of the Taiwan, fiasco that's going on. But India will be a bigger market and is growing into middle class much. They're lower on the totem pole. So China's ahead of them, but India has much more growth ahead of them to do. So if they're able to capitalize on the India market, which I think they would probably need two things to do. They would need a two-seat car or a smaller car that is more affordable for people to buy, because the India market is obviously emerging and is not as established as maybe a China or the United States or the Europe, where a lot of their cars are being sold currently. And I think a very, very good opportunity for Tesla could be a motorcycle or some type of non-car way to get around, moped. But they are very, very common in Indian cities because of traffic and the tightness and congestion. So I think if they were able to get a motorcycle or maybe a moped of some sorts to be able to expand their TAM would be great for them. So this was my Tesla stock update and analysis. If you made it this far, thank you for watching and have a great day.